Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. I know a lot of you in shock now. It's not president-elect anymore, it's president. And a lot of things are happening here. And I thought about it, and we have Orlando Darden here, financial advisor. And many of you need to sit down, get your cell phones out, and start taking notes, because Orlando, he has some terrific information, and you're going to need it with the situation that you're in now. You're going to find out that you have to secure your own future financially, and it's for 9 to 5. I've been talking to Orlando for about half an hour about that 9 to 5. So Orlando, tell us, hey, everybody's excited and everything. You got a new president here, and people don't know which way to go. But one thing that they're concerned about is finance. They're wondering if this guy is going to cost them their home, or if this president, is he going to really destroy their financial structure? They are accustomed to a certain structure, but you have developed, and you're writing a book. Tell us a little bit about security of your financial money.
All right, well, thanks very much for the great introduction, Mr. Brown. Again, my name is Orlando Darden. I'm a senior associate with First Financial Security. And basically, certainly we're into a new world. We're into a new situation where we have a president who is giving, whether it be the advisor community, which certainly I'm a part of, or even our economic advisors that have to determine monetary and fiscal policy for the country, basically a pause. They don't know what to expect. We're getting some indications pretty early on in terms of legislation that the president is already enacting trade restriction agreements, things of that nature, which can kind of portend what kind of things to expect.
Well, how does that trade agreement, how does that really, a lot of people don't understand that system that represents. Explain a little bit about it.
Well, I'm going to actually caution and say I'm not an expert in the trade agreement, but what I can say is this, is that all of these impact what the response will be in the market. The market is a psychologically driven system, meaning that if investors feel optimistic,
that's dangerous psychological, isn't it?
But that's how it runs. That's how it runs. If investors feel, just like investors, whether they happen to be on Wall Street, where I've been, or you're just the average 9 to 5 person, the number one concern that is psychologically driven is, will I lose money if I place my money in this investment? Will I make money, on the contrary, if I place my money in this investment? So uncertainty does not play well in the markets. And where we are right now is we're in a more uncertain time than we've ever been, because we have a new president. We're learning what his policies will be, how they will impact, and how they will enact. So my main thing that I really focus on with clients right now is to focus them to make sure that they understand that there are vehicles out there for middle-income people, as wealthy have already used and continue to use, that can work to their advantage to help them make the hurdle from working life into retirement. But the key is to know what those are, to sit with an advisor who can actually instruct and move you.
One of them I found out, and some other people found out, this one word, bankruptcy. It was a time, I said 10, 20, 30 years ago, they made people feel that that was a negative thing, bankruptcy. But 3% of the people in this country control the money, and most of them, bankruptcy is the way to really get money, because what they do, they bankrupt one company and they move to another and change the name in the bankruptcy. But now they don't want to allow the 9 to 5 guy to get involved in bankruptcy.
Well, in terms of bankruptcy, I really can't speak to that because that's not my area of expertise. What I can say is this, is in terms of the middle-income person, what's key for them is to understand that there are tools, there are vehicles that can help them to place their money. One of the things that I work very specifically with individuals is help them to say, well, look, Nowadays, we're living longer than we ever have. The original retirement system was designed for a life expectancy of
9 to 5, 40 years. As antique, right?
That's more than antique. It doesn't even almost exist anymore. But basically, the original Social Security system was designed to basically say that you're going to die after you work, probably just before you hit 60 or so. So we don't expect you to have to tap into the Social Security benefits. Progressively over the last several decades, people are living longer, and now, as a result, people are living longer in uncertain times. How do you protect against uncertainty? Is you have to help people to be able to have a way to guarantee their income for life. One of the things that I do is help clients of all income levels to understand that there are investment products out there, annuities, life insurance, that could help you, the right kind, and I will emphasize that not everything is created equal, but the right kind will help you to do the following things. Put monies away, tax deferred. We don't know what the tax environment will be.
How do you educate people to do that?
Well, number one, by being on your show, Mr. Brown, is having an opportunity to go out to an audience that you have and just educate them, because, again, there's so much information. Not only do you suffer from overload, but you also suffer from basically conflicting information. Our goal here is to at least filter what has been heard so people can have a better sense of what's fact, what's fiction. What is it? Just recently, we're now into the alternative facts world based on the new administration, where someone can say something and it's an alternative fact. I want to basically move us away from that and talk about real facts. What can you do? You can put your money away. One of the things I'm helping clients to understand that they can do is get a index universal life insurance policy. Why? The reason you do that is that policy is designed to offer you death benefits, of course, which insurance typically does, but living benefits. Living benefits are what happens if I get sick, what happens if I get ill, if I'm terminally ill, chronically ill, or critically ill. What these policies allow you to do is to protect in the uncertainty. Going to your point about bankruptcy, the number one cause of bankruptcy is medical expenses for a family. And so if a family doesn't have the financial resources to help them to pay for hopefully what will be a relatively short period of time to fund recovery from an ailment, whether it's critical or chronic, then unfortunately the medical bills spiral and they fall into financial despair, and then bankruptcy ensues.
But isn't it a little different with businessmen and the guy 9 to 5 as far as being punished for bankruptcy? For instance, I know you heard about the housing market, how people lost their homes and things of that nature, and the banks were involved in it, and so many different things. When you say financial, people think in terms of banks, they think of a credit union and things of that nature, which they have day-to-day experience with.
Okay. I'm not quite clear of the question.
No, the question is, how do they protect themselves? Most of the 9 to 5, they utilize banks and credit union and things of that nature. As far as the insurance, the financial package that you develop, does that protect them from those things?
Bankruptcy, I can't speak to specifically because that depends on the state. Each state has its
What
own
about the
bankruptcy
banks
laws.
and the credit union? Most people use that.
Most people, yes, use the bank for savings money. Here's the challenge, and let's say like this: banks are fundamentally good, very good institutions. You are offered FDIC, Federal Depository Insurance Corporation. You're offered insurance to protect your assets. Here's the challenge. The challenge is, again, you need to be able to have an environment through an investment product that will give your money's opportunity to earn reasonable rates of return safely. With a bank, interest rates are very low. They borrow the money at a higher, well, less than that.
Yeah,
they
it's
borrow
less than
money.
3%, and then you put your money in the bank, and then someone comes along and they charge them 18%. So they would make it
to make the loan. So the bank makes the money. The bank makes the money, and the consumer doesn't make the money. That's not going to help you to have the money to get to retirement.
Right.
Number two, monies typically sitting in a bank account are taxable dollars that you have to pay taxes on. So just between inflation, whatever the rate of inflation is alone, taxes, and just the just the low interest rate that you're going to get, you're significantly behind the eight ball if you're trying to put money away
In the bank.
in the bank in order to save. I say the bank is a good place if you just want to keep your reserves. By definition, one should have at least in this environment 6. I would even go so far as to say 8 months of what your typical monthly expenses should be, because let's assume that you become unemployed. You need to be able to, it's taking generally longer for people, depending on your age and other factors, to find employment again. So typically, you would suggest that you have about 3 to 6 months. I'm saying it's better to have closer to 8 months of monies in the bank, perhaps in a money market fund, earning some reasonable rate of return. However, for your longer term monies, meaning those monies that you are looking to earmark for retirement, you must have, I'm a defensive player when it comes to my clients. I want to make sure they protect against illnesses, chronic, terminal illnesses, things of that nature. I want to make sure that they have the benefit of living a life of quality by making sure that their money does not outlive, that they do not outlive their money. And so again, creating vehicles, whether it's through a fixed index annuity that allows people to put money away tax deferred. You can put money away at you can put a good sum of money in. You can, for example, you leave a job, you can roll over your 401k or your pension plan from your employer into that account. It'll give you guaranteed. You can create a guaranteed income stream for life, which a traditional pension in the days where companies traditionally gave and routinely gave pensions to their employees, that's significantly gone away.
Right.
The pension of today is being able to put your money into a fixed index annuity. The index part is it's a annuity that basically gets its rate of return by mirroring the return of the Standard & Poor's 500 index. Whatever the Standard & Poor's 500 index returns, the annuitant basically is able to receive credits for the performance of the market. So the advantage to them is that, number one, they are not in the market. What is the definition of being in the market? You physically, you own the stock, you own the mutual fund, you own it directly. So what happens is, if that market goes down, your investments go down. If the market goes up, you receive the benefit of the returns of the market. In this instance, by indexing, you have much lower fees. You don't have the trading commissions that you typically would have if you were trading stocks or mutual funds, which are even worse. Also, again, you're receiving credits from the insurance company for the performance of that particular indice, this instance being the Standard & Poor's. If the market doesn't perform at all, in other words, it has a flat market, here's the good news. Your money is locked down, basically meaning that unlike being in a mutual fund or a stock, if the market goes down, the value of that particular investment goes down, your portfolio goes down as well. What happens here is that your money is locked down. You don't earn any more interest or credits, but you don't lose any in the process. And that's a very powerful tool that I'm happy to be able to offer my clients in an environment where, again, uncertainty is ruling, and people are coming to me saying, Orlando, how do I make sure that I have the kind of monies that will keep me in retirement when we don't know who the next president will be 4 years from now? We don't know what the world will be like. We don't know what interest rates will be, high or low. We don't know what inflation will look like. These are the solutions that we're working on to really help clients to have a little bit more, have more security, more certainty in terms of being able to see a happy and peaceful retirement.
What's some of the things that you feel that a young person getting into the financial world of this country should major in? You know, quite often these young people, they go to school and they get a degree, some of them even two, and they come out and they can't find a job. And they, what do you suggest the field that they should get in as far as finance is concerned?
I'm saying for everybody.
Insurance. Some people say insurance.
Insurance is definitely.
They said it's number one.
Insurance is. I would say this much. I have my bias, but I also have the backing of it. Insurance has been among the most profitable financial institutions ever. Even back during the the stock market crashed in back in the 30s.
Yeah.
The insurance companies were the only financial institution that did not fold. People who were smart enough at that time to have their monies in insurance lost nothing, versus others who had money in the stock market. Corporations, basically as a part of their investment portfolio, and even CEOs of major corporations have their monies in insurance products like an indexed universal life, like an annuity. I read something today that Ben Bernanke was just before Janet Yellen, who's the current Federal Reserve chairman. Ben Bernanke, who was our Fed chairman before her, his investment portfolio consists of 2 annuities, substantially. So here's a guy that's the chief financial expert he's according to information that I had the opportunity to read. He's not all in the stock market trying to see if he's going to be in a hot stock or do things of that nature. He's even kind of conservative with bonds. He's his 2 top, and I found this fascinating because it was another underpinning of the value of insurance and how it's played historically, how it's going to play presently to help protect people in terms of not only their immediate needs health-wise, from an insurance policy, for example, the cash value as it builds up tax-free, you can take the money out in terms of a loan tax-free. Again,
see, that's the thing I'm thinking about, and the president-elect, well, he's president now, this is how he made his fortune in the real estate business.
Insurance. I'm sure he has insurance policies, and he's not, his investments probably, and I don't know this for a fact, so I'm just really more or less speculating just generally, but his investments are in his properties, in his various franchises, and he backs that, I'm sure, to a great degree with the monies and insurance, because again, it helps to protect him in the event that he is no longer able to run his business. They can fund that business. And one of the other areas that we help people, or I help people specifically, is with businesses. Businesses have partners, and what happens if your partner gets sick, who's one of the key people contributing to the business? Do you sell, in order to buy your partner out, do you liquidate your shares in your privately held company, or do you use your insurance that can allow you to retain your shares in the company, but you can buy someone out by cashing in your insurance policy that you have on that partner, what's known as a buy-sell agreement. That's a little bit beyond what I can talk about in this show because that's a whole different conversation. But the point is that insurance has been probably the most reliable foundational, and I qualify that. Not all insurance is treated equal or has the same capabilities. I really typically try to advise people away from term insurance because, again, it doesn't give you the benefit of long-term benefits. It's a term insurance is for a period of time. You pay money into a policy, but by the time the policy expires, maybe 10, 15, 20 years later, you're going to be older. There's no telling what your state of health will be, and the older you are, and the less healthy you are, the more expensive or difficult it is to acquire insurance. I'm working with people now who are just have young children, and we're setting them up with the indexed universal life policies. Why? It's because they're so young. Their risk to the insurance company is so significantly low. They can get $100,000, for example, for $10 a month. And that money is going away at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When they reach 20 years old, they could probably have about $20,000 in a cash account, further supplementing the insurance policy, making it $120,000. That's all tax-free money that you're helping to build financial security for these kids.
Now, that's a good point. Now, can they utilize that money to start a business?
Yes, they could borrow. They could borrow off that. They could borrow off that without having to go to the bank. Yes, depending on the insurance company, some insurance companies allow you to borrow up to 90% of your cash value in your account.
Of the account?
Yes.
Oh,
So in fact, that's how businesses are looking at alternative financing, is those business owners who were wise enough to understand that, yes, let me have these insurance policies because for my personal use is that I might be able to borrow against the value of that.
Right.
So you're doing it, and you're still receiving interest, and the insurance company says if you don't pay it back, we just cash in your cash. You know, so it works very advantageous. So for those new budding businesses, who are fortunate enough to have an insurance policy.
Right.
Index Universal Life would be the focus that I have, that have a reasonable cash balance. They could borrow against that and without the necessities of having to go to a bank and hopefully get approved and credit and all that other kind of issue there.
Well, then basically you're saying the insurance business is the number one business that really that a person have more security than anything else, because the wealth is in insurance, and the fact that he can take care of his family, take care of his family with the same money.
Insurance, my definition, is perhaps the best wealth building tool for these reasons. Number one, depending on your age and your health, you can, for a little bit of money, you can get a lot of benefit. In other words, again, using the example of a child or a young person starting off their career, because if they're in good health, and based on the length of time they have before they potentially may choose to use it, insurance rates are going to generally be favorable to them. It's going to be a low monthly cost, but yet they could qualify for a pretty substantial amount of insurance. So that's something that's very important. The other thing that's very important here is that you leave a legacy to your beneficiaries in terms of tax-free death benefits. In other words, they receive that money. They don't have to pay taxes on that. That can pay down the deceased estate. So you're not. There was. I love this quote, and hopefully I'm going to get it correctly. There was a story, long story short, that basically said a grandmother who was on her bed dying asked her grandson, "Do you remember your grandfather's name?" And he said, "No, I don't." She said, "The reason you don't remember your grandfather's name is because unfortunately he never left anything to create a legacy." And what we're doing here is when you purchase insurance and you are able to provide benefits to your survivors, children, family, spouses, whomever they happen to be, you're creating a legacy that could go on for generations. The wealthy have used products such as insurance to transfer wealth from one generation to the next. So you're going to remember that grandfather who may have been, several years back, because that person created a legacy. So that's one of the things that becomes even more important nowadays. That insurance allows you to do.
I don't know whether you're old enough, but you remember when it was a certain insurance company that went around to the Afro-American neighborhoods and collected, like,
burial insurance.
Huh?
Burial insurance, as it's known. Yes.
Metropolitan was one too.
Yes, absolutely.
That exposure really, in most times, that exposure that they had with the insurance was the only thing that they had to leave his legacy, because that was paid every Saturday or whatever come around, and
exactly.
And so the exposure that people had there was early. Well, why is it that we got away from that?
We got away from that because we didn't update our conversation about the other products that are available. Now, again, through shows such as yourself, we're able to channel this information. Information is knowledge, and knowledge is potential power. I don't say knowledge is power, because if you don't use the information properly, it's not power, but information is potential power. So now that people understand, and then also product innovation. Products have been designed more to address more specific needs over time. But I think now in the age of Google, internet, smartphones, we all have access to information. The key is not only access to information, but also understand what's good information, what's bad information. Again, being on a show such as yours, people can receive information that can help them to make wiser decisions and have a sense of direction in terms of what path they need to take in order to secure their retirement, make sure they guarantee their income for life, which they can, and also create a legacy through building an estate through insurance that you can pass to your beneficiaries. So they have a leg up and a head start, or a leg up, and you can continue to pass that money on from one generation to the next.
Well, see, like you were saying, shows and different programs and things like that, they're coming back to life again. so that the guy 9 to 5, he understands he has to have some security. Although he may be doing well, that is the time to really, some people increase their insurance policy based on that.
Some people increase their insurance policy. This is my definition of doing well. This is a template that we use. Do you not have enough money to take care of yourself if you should live long? What happens if you should get ill, either critically or chronically? So you need, or what happens if you become temporarily disabled? If you can address those 3 areas and say, I've got this covered substantially, I've got that area covered substantially.
That's the formula.
That's the formula. That's the general formula that I work with in order to do that. An investment portfolio alone does not give you that level of security. Number one, to sell your investments is a taxable event. You're going to, especially if it's not in a non-taxable account. Again, that's a whole other conversation for another time. It's also your investments that you take away may take away from your retirement income that you were depending on to fund a short-term needs. That's why insurance is able to afford you what's known as riders that protect you against, again, in the instance of critical illness, chronic illness, or terminal illness. Terminal by definition meaning that you only have 2 years to live. So again, and you can do it in a way that doesn't have the tax consequences of a investment portfolio. I'm not against investment portfolios at all. I think they have their place. I think insurance helps you to really have a pretty strong financial defensive plan in terms of protecting you going into the future, the present and the future.
See, that's what happened with the young people now. I think that they don't have example of that, you know, that really, especially African American, getting involved in the insurance business.
Well, that's why I make it my point to get out to community events to speak to younger people and let them understand that don't think of insurance as something I've got to, I'm not going to receive because I'm going to die and something like that. Well, but they're living benefits. If if you put some money away, it's a tax-free vehicle. It's better than putting money in a savings account, better than actually putting money in the market, because you can get market-like returns without the exposure of being in the market, and have tax-free monies available to you if you need to take money out of your policy after a certain time, or if you need to take your policy, use the cash value of what's known as an index universal life whole life policy, and use that as leverage to help fund the startup of your business.
Well, see, the image of insurance has changed. You know, most people, the image was insurance was for when I died, is something that, but it can be utilized for many things and better things, because all the investors, these millionaires, most of them are involved with real estate. In fact, they, like you said,
real estate, insurance,
real estate and insurance, and they utilize the two to make money.
Correct, and also have intergenerational wealth.
Intergenerational
wealth, correct.
Okay, so a young man, a young lady decide to go to school. What should they major in? We got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes? My overall feeling is I feel more than ever people need to have an entrepreneurial mind. So many schools are beginning to open that because, again, there's less guarantee that traditional jobs, law, medicine, things of that nature are in place. With that said, I think by having entrepreneurial skills, marketing, sales, understanding how to manage your business, you can then take other courses or train yourself to say, I'm going to go into insurance, I'm going to go into, I'm going to run a doggy daycare business or whatever then. But my main thing is that I feel that's entrepreneurship would be my main focus.
Okay, this has been Ed Brown. We have Orlando here, and you know, it's been really rough, you know, but we're trying to get out of this deal here with this president, and he's trying to get you involved in the future, a financial future. See you next time.